At the end of part 5, I just finished making some supports for the boat cover. Next I prepared some angled pieces of wood which were going to make up the bunks to support the sides of the boat. These were bolted through some pieces of southern yellow pine which I'd cut to fit the bunk supports. And here they are fixed in place, supporting the sides of the boat. Then I sanded and masked off the top parts of the boat, ready for painting. Here I put on some epoxy resin just before it started raining, so I covered it in polythene, put the boat cover over, and it set very nicely. And as you can see, the polythene came off really easily. The waterline that I put on the boat when it was upside down was actually very wobbly, so I repainted this. This I did by first levelling the trailer, then I measured up from the bottom of the keel the correct distance and transferred this measurement around the boat using a spirit level. There was a little bit of adjustment by eye, but overall I was much happier with the result. I decided to put a stripe below the waterline, sort of go faster stripe if you like. I thought this would look a bit smarter. This is a rather special moment, unveiling of the waterline. And it's really nice for me to have been putting all this work into preparing the boat, and then to allow my sons, Jack and George, to reveal the waterline. It's rewarding for me to see, and it's like a gift to you guys. As I say, it's like a gift. So I just want to say Merry Christmas, Jack, 2021.
Merry Christmas 2021.
As you can see, the guys did a great job of revealing the waterline and the go faster stripe. Yeah, nice. Next it was time to turn my attention to the rudder assembly. So here I'm putting a nice curve onto the rudder blocking, which goes on the inside of the rudder and forms a wing shape. And here I've stuck the rudder blocking in place onto one half of the rudder. And once that had set, I was able to glue the other half on top and clamp that in place. Then it was time to turn my attention to the companionway. I started off by fitting the companionway flanges, which here I've clamped in place just temporarily. Then I took a scrap piece of plywood and traced the curve of the top of the cabin roof onto it. This would give me the curve for the companionway trim. And here I am cutting that curve out of the scrap piece of timber. Then it was time to transfer this curve onto a piece of sapele, which I was going to use for that part of the companionway trim. Of course, this had to be sanded and smoothed into the correct shape, and a notch cut out of the middle to fit over the join in the deck. The side pieces of trim needed a bevel cutting on the bottom surface so that they'd stand vertically on top of the deck. Next I was able to do a trial fit of these pieces of trim. And here I'm marking the 45-degree angles on the corners ready for cutting so that they'll fit together neatly. Then before epoxying in place, I had to sand the paint to get a nice rough surface to stick them to. and put on plenty of thickened epoxy resin. This was placed carefully into position and clamped firmly while the epoxy resin set. Once I clamped the trim in position, then I glued the Companionway flange and clamped this also. Once all clamped into position, it was time to step carefully off the boat. Carefully, I said. That's better. See you next time.